Yeah, it was good, Joe. She man the Bigga P, and here to talk about my thoughts on the Triple G Lemieux pay-per-view from last night. Of course, I ordered it because it was definitely something I was on board for. Because my thing is because I'm a big fan of unification. So when Lemieux beating Dom earlier this year for the belt, I was like, okay, cool. So I was thinking to myself, that I think Lemieux should go face Triple G or any other middleweight champions. But in myself, I'm thinking to myself, that's not going to happen. Oscar's not going to let him do that. So imagine my surprise when I was like, they got the offer and they're taking it seriously, and bam, this fight comes to pass. I'm like, oh shit, unification. All right. So just based off what I want, based off this fight actually coming to fruition, something I want, I was like, I should, I can do no less than to actually order it. I have no problem doing it. It's not an issue. I was hoping too that at least the undercard would be on point on paper. Which it was. Well, more or less not for the Ortiz fight, but at least for the other fights, it would have been. I had no problem. I had no problems with them for the undercard. So let me actually go and start talking about them. A little briefly. Toronto Johnson versus Eamon O'Kane. Now, if there was a fight that I've never seen O'Kane fight prior to this, but I would have thought Toronto would have gotten rid of him. It was an interesting fight. It was a O'Kane. I thought it was. I actually thought it was actually going to end early because O'Kane went down a couple times early, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy has no chin, and I wasn't seeing anything punching wise of it. But once O'Kane settled in, he did his thing for up to the later rounds. I mean, he bullied Toronto as much as he can. He landed some wicked body punches. Um, My thing is, I think they mentioned on the pay per view too. Is like you can tell Kane's a puncher, but he's just. I mean, but yeah, I guess his whole delivery, his setup, is probably why he doesn't have too many knockouts in the fights that he has. Whereas Toronto was pretty much landing every punch in the book, especially some uppercuts. I mean, it was brutal to watch. I mean, it was really brutal to watch at that point. And that we're coming off the heels of what happened with Pritchard Cologne, and you're thinking to myself like they should really by 10th round they should really like think of stopping this fight because he absorbed a little bit too much punishment. But Kane, I mean, he was game. He kept on coming forward. He tried, but Torreno was class. He just like literally just hit every punch in the book, punched him around the ring until he started getting a little tired. But I mean, the decision was as clear as day that Toronto won the fight. Um, so now I think now he's the number one contender now to Triple G. Um, like I said, trying to give a good account of himself, but the one thing I didn't like that he was cuffing his right hand a lot. Yeah, it's points or whatever, but you should try to set yourself up to throw a more effective right hand. I mean, the uppercuts he was doing it. I mean, he was snapping the guy's head back with uppercuts, but when he was inside just doing a cuffing with the right hand, I'm like, it was starting to annoy me after a little bit. So, but other than that, I can't really take anything much away from his performance. He did what he had to do. So, like I said, he's probably going to go after Triple G next. Then the second fight, the heavyweight fight, was Luis Ortiz versus Vidando. Vidando was another fight I've never seen before. Ortiz I've seen, of course, against Monty Barrett and then Latif Coyote. The infamous fight where he got popped for being dirty for the, for the steroid. Um, but my takeaway from him in those fights that the guy has plenty of power. I mean, and his hands, pretty, not bad hand speed for a heavyweight. So I was expecting anything other than to be a showcase. I just wish Verdando was just a better opponent. Because I know originally I was hearing supposed to be Bermain Stavern, which Bermain was on board, but Don King was not, and then maybe Brian Jennings. But I think Bryant, in the end side, not to go through with it. And this would have been a better heavyweight fight than what we got. Vidana just came out of nowhere. I mean, they pulled him from nowhere. And I mean, it didn't help. He didn't train. He wasn't in shape. His offense was just pathetic. I mean, he jiggled. You could tell. I could tell the end was near when Punch sent him in the ropes and he came flying back like he took an Irish whip in WWE,
and then and then he got landed right into a right hand that knocked him down. Um, that was I had never seen that. Was like comical, absolutely comical. And then the next round, I mean, Ortiz puts his lights out, with a wicked left hand, that let they and he damn near did a Ric Flair flop to the canvas, and he was out cold. Um, like I said, it served its purpose. I guess it's a knockout, and that's what you got to do. I mean, sometimes, I just wish, like I said, it was a better quality heavyweight fight. But for now, Ortiz has, regained his interim WBA heavyweight title, um, which pretty much means, in the hindsight, uh, pretty basically, if Vlad gives up his WBA belt or he retires, then I would imagine that Ortiz would become the quote unquote WBA heavyweight champion of the world, which confuses the hell out of me for whatever reasons. The fact that Ortiz actually holds this particular belt, but whatever. It's it's the sanctioned bodies. That's what they do. So Vidando, I hope I never see again in the ring. I have no interest in seeing him at all, and I probably won't since I don't live in Argentina. So there we go. And then we have the co-main event. We have Roman Chocolatito Zales versus Brian Valoria. I was looking forward to this fight because I'm a big fan of Valoria. I was hoping that he had at least one more. He had one more really great fight left in him, and he showed flashes of it. He won. I think he won a couple of the first couple rounds before Gonzalez got into a groove. And the combinations he was just landing on them was just like, it was ridiculous. The fact that Brian was staying on his feet as long as he did, was remarkable to me. Save for the first knockdown in the fight, which is the first time that Brian ever touched the canvas. And then in the actual round where the fight was stopped, Brian actually landed a body shot that had him backing off, and that was pretty much like a last hurrah. And then after that, Gonzalez recovered and came and punished him again with some more combinations on the ropes. And then the referee just had enough, saw it. So like I said, Brian, he saved face. He gave it as good as he got. But like I said, if it was like maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, I would say okay, he would have had a shot. But actually, he's getting old. So but like I said, salute the effort nonetheless as Gonzalez goes. The funny thing is, I don't agree with him being the top pound for pound fighter in the world. Not yet. But he's up there. If you want to put him pound for pound, he'll probably be on the lower rung of the pound for pound. Still needs a couple more victories before I can actually say, hey, put him in there. But he continued doing, he continued to do his thing. He impressed. So my hats off to him. And then we have the main event, Triple G versus David Lemieux. This fight, now there was a whole bunch of things. Now, obviously, now the pay-per-view is so. This fight came together on pay-per-view just to see where we're going, just to try to see where Triple G is as an actual draw as a fighter. So this is where it goes. Obviously, we won't know about any information on that until later on this week. But the fact that they were able to sell MSG was pretty impressive. It was packed to the gills. You could tell the energy was there. And a couple of my boys that were on my Facebook, they were in there. And they were talking about how it was intense. So you could tell. It was a really good atmosphere. And there was a lot of people like chanting for Triple G, and like I said, it looked very live. And originally. I know before this fight, I know when they showed like the road to this fight, I was concerned more about Lemieux not making his weight because Lemieux, he's over here eating kebabs and all types of stuff like that. He's his 30-day weigh-in was 175 compared to Golovkin, who was 165. Which pretty much meant he probably could have made weight probably by tomorrow or something like that, in the next couple of days. So I was really concerned about Lemieux making weight for this fight. And even more concerned, too, because even if he did make the weight, official weight, then he had to make weight for the same day weigh-in, which you can't weigh no more than 10 pounds. So in this weigh-in, this first weigh-in, Lemieux made his weight barely, and he had to strip down naked, and he made it. And then he barely made the 10-day weigh-in. So we had a fight. And Triple G, of course, he made his weight comfortably. So, and and now it was being billed as possibly being Hagler Hearns. It was not to be. I would say more off the fact that Triple G, from the first round, established the jab, a stiff jab, that was not that Lemieux, for whatever reason, decided he can't, he didn't know how to avoid. He couldn't slip it, had no jab defense. This is like watching Danny Garcia fight. Um, and even after that, I still expect Lemieux, because I mean, if you ever seen him fight, I mean, the guy wades in two hands, and does what he does. I was expecting, because he can punch, but that jab kept him honest, too honest. Um, and it was clear, boxing wise, that Lemieux didn't have it. And I think, and then pretty much from there, after that, Triple G just picked him apart. There was one knockdown in the fifth round. He broke his nose. And then the end came pretty much after a body shot. You could see Lemieux taking a look at the referee, like, you got to pull me out, in which he did. I mean, then, of course, he complained in the post-fight interview that wasn't the case. But, yeah, Triple G was just, it was just a thorough outclassing. Um, in this fight, I would have liked a little bit more action, considering the offensive fireworks. But like I said, Lemieux just was not able to get past the jab. And, when you can't get past the jab, then then your output just gets absolutely limited. So, a little disappointed by Lemieux on his efforts. I mean, and and probably another theory is I think he probably trained more to lose weight than his actual strategy, because I don't think he really had a strategy against Triple G, against it all. I mean, he didn't even wade in, and when he couldn't get past the jab, that was pretty much about it. I think he just trained mostly just to lose weight. That was pretty much about it. So, but Triple G, I mean, he did his thing, and now he picked up the IBF belt. So now now we have Cotto, who's the lineal champion and holds the WBC title, and then we have Andy Lee with the WBO belt. I mean, those are the only two that are left, and then if you want to include him, Danny Jacobs, who holds the regular WBA middleweight title, whatever that means. Um, so I mean, yeah, I mean, pretty much now we're marching toward unification of the titles, and Triple G will pretty much face the winner of either Canelo or Cotto. Hopefully Canelo, because at least Canelo has actually shown that he'll fight whoever he thinks he needs to fight, no matter what Oscar says. Whereas Cotto will do everything in his power to not fight Triple G. I mean, even though Triple G holds the interim title, which means if Cotto gives it up, then Triple G becomes the WBC middleweight champion. But like I said, it's just the whole thing. You gotta give up your lineal title. But and that's the issue. So that's why I'm hoping for Canelo to actually win this fight, so I can see Canelo and Triple G take place in 2016. Because that's the fight that everyone wants to see. But I was impressed by, like I said, Triple G. Instead of going in, bombing people out, I mean, he showed a jab. He showed an absolutely stiff, educated jab. And then, like I said, I mean, you can't really become a good fighter if you can't throw a good jab. If you can't master a jab, then what the hell are you doing? So, yeah, it was like I said, the main event. I mean, I was expecting more in terms of action, but you got. I mean, but like I said, I'm not taking away from Triple G's performance, but I mean, like I said, I don't think he expected Lemieux to not get by a jab, at least to actually try to make things a little hot for him. I mean, well, he did here and there, but that was pretty much about it. So my hat's off to Triple G for taking another middleweight title, and like I said, hopefully, the middleweight title picture gets clearer in 2016. So those are my thoughts of the fight. Yeah, it was a lot of boxing this week. Like I said yesterday, I just did my video on the PBCs, like the 4 PBC cards that were this week. So it was a lot of boxing on. Contrast to next week, there's not going to be too much. But hey, sometimes you got to detox a little bit. So till next time, all right, peace.